Welcome to Key Conversations, a Making It in the Music Business podcast. My goal for this podcast is to help you learn from these conversations with both experts and working musicians and serve as a guide to assist your career in the process. I'm your host, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. Let's get going. Welcome back to this musician edition where we're featuring a hardworking musician who is creating his dream career, open to a little guidance, and brave enough to be here in my hot seat. So today I'm excited to introduce to you Jonathan Perez, aka Pitter Patter, who is an electronic artist who incorporates live drums. Super cool. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
For those of you who are just listening and cannot even see, you just need to know that there's a massive Homer Simpson in his studio, which makes me really happy. I would like to think that it has some sort of sound treatment qualities, but maybe just motivational qualities.
He's there to get me through the hard times.
Got it. I mean, we all need someone like that. I've got some stuff. I don't know what it is yet. Great. So tell me what's going on with your music career? What do you got going on right now? What does it look like? I can see the instruments in your studio. You clearly do some recording, but give us the snapshot.
So as of right now, the snapshot is I'm currently working on some new material for, I think an EP is what I think it'll become. During this course of, it's given me a lot of food for thought as to how I should approach a release. And I've also, coupled with, I've been reading that book, Ari
Herstands. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine, collaborator, and he's kind of made the guide of sort of put it all out there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's super rad. So like with what you're doing, I've been kind of like reading that and also just, really formulating these next few steps. So it's kind of boiled down to just like make good music. So right now, we both just got back from South by, and I was inspired by a lot of the musicians that, are just taking it upon themselves to create their content and their music and on their own terms within a reasonable budget as well. So as you can see, I've invested in some microphones. This is one of them. And so I'm just tracking my drums. I'm making music just real time in my little bedroom, and that's where I'm at. And then also just I'm formulating a plan. I'm going to transition from my full-time job into just creating music and learning how to monetize that and just be a professional musician. So that's where I'm at right now.
Really cool. So what does that transition look like for you? Have you set some specific timeline for yourself, or what's the strategy that you have in place?
So at this moment, I have a very like hard stop deadline of the end of Q2. So that'll be pretty much end of June, July 1st. And I did a hard stop for myself because, even now I feel like, well, what if I just go a little longer? What if I just try to save a little more money, or what, like just kind of like lean on it? Or what if I went part-time? It's like I have to be real with myself, and I can't have one foot in the door and one foot out and expect to see the results that I want in my life, both musically, both in terms of like reaching my goals in the timeline that I'm setting for myself. So again, like the course has been really it has been a big eye opener. I've been playing music for a long time, and now I feel like I have a lot more insight as to how I can approach things in a business mindset that's geared towards musicians, like doing all of that. So the transition is, like I have to just like stick to my commitment and my goal, and that's one goal out of a plethora of goals.
Yeah.
But so that's one, and then two, generate more music. I haven't really been in the studio in like 2 years, and it's expensive, so that's why I invested in these microphones. It's going to take some time learning how to dial in a good sound without like tweaking, EQing, and all of that stuff. I want to try to just get a good natural sound first, and And also, I'm with, I have a fiance, so her and I, our finances, are more dependent on me right now. So that's why I have some time to give her a chance to settle in with a job that'll compensate for our lifestyle, which isn't crazy, but
you gotta cover the cost of Homer Simpson.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's pretty pricey. But yeah, that's what the transition's looking like right now.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. And I just to clarify, when you say the course, Jonathan's just finished up the MX4 course with me. And that's a course that a lot of these people that I've been interviewing have either participated in or are in. And it really is to get a strategy, big picture strategy. And it covers a lot of branding and finances and all that jazz. So, and really communicating about your music to potential fans and pitching. And there's a whole bunch of communication stuff. So
That's a big one. Like, I feel like before I started taking the course, like people would ask me, "Oh, what kind of music do you play?" And I would just like fumble with words. Like it's awful because before, I mean, and I know better because
Hmm.
I know, like, if someone's gonna give me like this long-winded, "Oh yeah, we're this, that, and this, and that, and this, and that," but with like a little bit of this, just like this really long novel, like that's no one's gonna want to hear that, especially if you do see somebody in the business that's like, I know that person, they do good work, I respect them, and I want to just see what I can do, pitch them, right?
Yeah.
You want to give them like just like the girth of it without boring them, because they hear it all the time, right? Like, so
Right.
like for me, that's like, just, excuse my language, but like, cut the crap and just be about what you're making, and that's a common theme that I saw in some of the other attendees, was like they really struggled with what they made, right? They're like, no, but it's like, yeah, it is rock, but it's also like this, or it's also that. Nope, no, and but like by like the progression was like, nah, it's rock. It's like, yeah, it's rock. So
Yeah, we hate doing that. We hate putting ourselves in these little teeny tiny boxes, but unfortunately it's what other people need. Human beings like to categorize and package and put
yeah,
in. If they can just, oh, so you're like this, if you can just be okay with that, yes, yeah, yes, it's rock. You might actually be able to get through that first door easier than
yeah,
if you were trying to really, really be creative in how you express yourself. You don't want to be creative with your music. Don't be creative in areas where people need clarity, which is, like
absolutely.
talking about yourself. One place I see creativity where I do not want to see creativity is in people's menus on their websites. Like, I saw one that was like musings of from far beyond the dreams. And I was like, what is this? I was talking to a musician I was working with, and she was like, oh, it's my blog. And I'm like, no,
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
and it was like, don't be cute and creative here. When people are looking for something and want to get in with you and connect with
yeah,
you, you have to use words that they are familiar with.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, and that's
yeah.
like, was in some of the in the MX4 program, that was something that when I would, we had to review websites, and I would get these websites from these musicians, and one of the things I had to tell them, which I felt like they were like was, think about the engagement of your potential client or fan. What is their experience when they visit your website? And you have to think about that, because you only have like a second, if that, to get someone's attention and keep it, because there's just so much content being generated that's like excellent, like superb content, but and that's what we're competing with as musicians.
Yep.
So you have to think about how, if you're going to really monetize and be about, us being a success in this business, that's definitely, you have to think about the fan, you have to think about the client, if it's like, you want to be a professional musician, hired gun type deal. But yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
so
what's your music like then?
my music is electronic based, and I incorporate live drums, and I like to say it's energetic and fun. And see, like, I'm still struggling with that as well, because I'm in a place where I'm still finding my sound. Like,
Sure.
I don't want to pigeonhole myself to, and like how you said, you don't want to like categorize it, and I understand I understand that. And I think right now is, I'm in a process of formulating and like, I guess like a more refined sound, but I would say electronic music.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, like if you're no matter who you're talking to, if you are still in the, finding your voice, finding your sound phase, like I do not tell people about my first record. I have 4 records out because like good Lord, I do not know what the I'm trying to keep this whole podcast explicit, not explicit. So
Right.
Seriously, what was going on? Cheryl, what were you thinking? And I don't even know, there's like some jazzy things, there's some other things. And I was like, so I just say it's like singer-songwriter. I feel like that gives me, but it's not. I mean, it's like all over the place. And it drove me nuts. But I feel like you could actually say, I'm primarily electronic music in development. Like I'm developing the specific sound and and I'm exploring, and you can even like, I'm a big fan of lists, words of 3. So if you're like electronic music, but I'm exploring pop, drum looping, and like that keeps it concise. Anything more than 4 in a list, people usually get lost. But then you give yourself permission to go outside of this one electronic music that may not be totally accurate yet, and it can change, right? Like we didn't write this in like blood and stone and things like that. Like you can change it as you.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of it, right? Like that's the beauty of it. Yeah, like actually we had a conversation recently, like my fiance and I, like, so I was like, what kind of music do you think I play? Or what, like what kind of bands do you think I sound like? And she's like, oh, I really don't know. And it's not like a very conventional sound, but there are bands that I draw influence from, and that's a very obvious influence.
Sure.
And so it's just like finding that voice, not trying, being, it's like a fine balance between like your own influences without ripping them off, but also yourself, so
totally. Yeah.
That's the fun part.
I no, this is a fun conversation because I think finding your genre and being solid about how to describe yourself is really important. And it also can help you take actions in the future. What kind of bands are you going to reach out to open for? And what kind of playlists you want to get on? Are they looking like, there's a whole world of why that's important to be able to say that and to know it for yourself, not just to pitch it. Yes, pitching is a huge part of being concise and clear, blah, 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 but just for yourself to know. I think it's really important. I think, and the influence thing is important, but I mean, I grew up listening to classical music in my house, and then I became a big fan of the man bands. I mean, like Dave Matthews and Vertical Horizon and the Goo Goo Dolls. And I've never once in my life heard that I sound like the Goo Goo Dolls or any of those man bands, but they, in terms of my chord structures and the melodies and the emotion behind some of the, there's a lot, I pull a lot from them. So, I'm looking at, okay, what genre is that? Okay, they're mostly pop rock. John Mayer's the singer-songwriter. So that, okay, cool. There's my first parameters. Then I can narrow it down into that realm. So looking at your influences is a really good place to start without necessarily having to be them. But I
like one thing that I've been doing is like trying to see like, like the reason why I asked like what bands I sound like is so I could be like, one major influence growing up was, of course, as a drummer, rock and roll, John Bonham, Led Zeppelin, right? Like, everyone's gonna be like, who's a really good drummer? Bonham, like that's like, but so I like to think about like, it's like if John Bonham met like, Brian Eno, like kind of thing, like, and that like, oh, that's an interesting combination. I would have never thought of that, like, because that is kind of it's the music isn't ambient. Like I don't make ambient music, but I love like color and I love synthesizers and fuzz and heaviness. Like I said, I grew up listening to rock and roll and stuff like that. So
electronic rock. Like there's maybe absolutely. That's it. So here's the thing: we're going to hear a song from you, and you're on Twitter at it's Pitter Patter HTX.
Yeah.
So I encourage anyone that's listening to take a listen to this next song, and I want you to tell us about it in a second, and then tweet at Jonathan, tell him what you think, because what you just said, that the fact that you asked your fiance, that is a really great thing to do. So if you're struggling with what's your genre, like whatever you're trying to like communicate, ask other people. This is a really great, ask your fans, ask people that are close to you.
I did actually. I took a cue from the chorus, and it's like, fan engagement. So yeah, I asked, what kind of bands do you think I sound like? And some people did respond. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you're going to get like a bajillion tweets now.
I don't know.
You're welcome. Or
Thank
sorry. But tell us about the song that we're going to hear.
So the song is called Graveyard Song, and it's a little bit more down tempo. I do have more faster paced songs, but it's a little bit more down tempo, kind of atmospheric, psychedelic, very like I would say I like a band called Black Moth Super Rainbow, and they're very psychedelic, and they use synthesizers in a very, I think, beautiful way. And so it kind of like takes on like this nice like vibey atmosphere with synthesizers and bass, and then it opens up really nicely with like some arpeggios. Is that, did I say it right?
Arpeggios.
Anyway, arpeggios. Yes. Anyway, and then the drums kind of like get louder with that, and I included that song because I threw that song into a project with 14 other local bands here in Houston, and that's going to be a part of a film from this local film group. So like the concept for them was like, how can we make an affordable music video for these talented artists? And so they took a lot of their friends and other really awesome bands in Houston, and so the concept is based around this Japanese film called Rashomon, and it's depicted from 5 different points of view that juxtapose each other. So it doesn't really make any sense, but it's telling a story from each point, viewing like one single like event. So it's 14 different stories viewed from different ways, and
cool.
Each story is featuring an artist. So that song, Graveyard Song, will be featured in it.
That is really cool. Well, I'm really excited to listen to this. This was a great conversation. I think this would be really helpful for a lot of musicians that are also struggling with how to get your sound going, and anyone also that's transitioning from, day job to full-time musician. That's been a real theme this season, which is really exciting. So I'm so psyched to be everyone's cheerleader. So go, 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 go. It's possible. You can do
it. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Jonathan. It was really awesome. And again, pitter-patter-music.com is where you can hear more, see more, find out all the things.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll talk to you later.
Peace.
Don't forget to rate, like, and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and YouTube if you like this podcast. Musicians like you keep me inspired and motivated, and for doing that, I'm offering you access to my 7-day challenge, which takes only a half an hour a day and helps you develop a complete set of positive habits for how you work at your career, from goal setting to finances to branding. Get access at inthekey.co/7-day challenge. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on Key Conversations. The theme song on this podcast was provided by yours truly. If you're interested to find out more about my composing and songwriting projects, go to inthekey.co/Cheryl. If you're a musician looking to get some real results for your music career, then head to inthekey.co/results, where I've created a bunch of different kinds of resources just for you. Key Conversations is sponsored in part by Bandzoogle. They make it easy to build a beautiful website for your music. Their step-by-step system gets you online in minutes, and you can choose from hundreds of mobile-friendly themes and customize them with their point-and-click editor. All of the features you can imagine for a possible website are built in. So, because you're a Key Conversations podcast listener, you get a special month free trial plus 15% off if you do decide to sign up, just for you. Go to inthekey.co/make-a-site to get the offer.